America's most visited national park, Great Smoky Mountains, is an ideal getaway located in the southeastern United States, with parts in North Carolina and Tennessee. Hike, camp, and experience one of America's oldest mountain ranges. The park contains some of the highest mountains in eastern North America, including Clingman's Dome, Mount Guyot, and Mount El Conte. The border between the two states runs northeast to southwest through the center of the park. The Appalachian Trail passes through the center of the park on its route from Georgia to Maine. With 14.1 million visitors in 2021, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited national park in the United States. For thousands of years, this region was occupied by successive cultures of indigenous peoples. The historic Cherokee had their homeland here, and occupied numerous towns in the river valleys on both sides of the Appalachian Mountains. Their first encounters with Europeans were as traders, mostly coming from the colonial Carolinas and Virginia. European Americans did not begin to settle here until the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Particularly because of their pressure to acquire land in the Deep South, in 1830 President Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act, beginning the process that eventually resulted in the forced removal of all Indian tribes east of the Mississippi River to Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. As white settlers arrived, entrepreneurs developed logging as a major industry in the mountains. The Little River Railroad was constructed by Colonel W. B. Townsend in the late 19th century to haul timber out of the remote regions of the area. Colonel Townsend had purchased 86,000 acres of land on the Little River. The construction of the Little River Railroad set an example for larger companies like the Ritter Lumber Company, Montvale Timber Company, and Norwood Lumber to also purchase acres of land for logging. The logging company Champion purchased 92,000 acres, 37,000 ha, of land which included the Greenbrier Cove area and areas from Clingman's Dome to Mount Kephart. By 1909 logging was at its peak, and by 1920 about two-thirds of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park area had been logged or burned by fires from logging operations. Because cut-and-run style clear-cutting was destroying the natural beauty of the area, by the 20th century visitors and locals banded together to raise money for preservation of the land. The U.S. National Park Service wanted a park in the eastern United States, but did not have much money to establish one. David C. Chapman, a Knoxville, Tennessee, business leader, was appointed in 1925 to head a commission to establish a national park here. Congress authorized the park in 1926, but there was no nucleus of federally owned land around which to develop it. John D. Rockefeller Jr. contributed $5 million, the U.S. government added $2 million, and private citizens from Tennessee and North Carolina pitched in to assemble the land for the park, piece by piece. Slowly, mountain homesteaders, miners, and loggers were evicted from the land. Farms and timbering operations were abolished to establish the protected areas of the park. Travel writer Horace Kephart, for whom Mount Kephart was named, and photographers Jim Thompson and George Massa were instrumental in fostering the development of the park. Ben W. Hooper, a former governor of Tennessee, was the principal land purchasing agent for the park, which was officially established on June 15, 1934. During the Great Depression, the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Works Progress Administration, and other federal organizations hired workers to build trails, fire watchtowers, and other infrastructure improvements to the park and Smoky Mountains. The park was used for filming scenes of Disney's hit 1950s TV series Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. This park was designated an International Biosphere Reserve in 1976, was certified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983, and became a part of the Southern Appalachian Biosphere Reserve in 1988. A 75th anniversary rededication ceremony was held on September 2, 2009. Among those in attendance were the 4 U.S. Senators from Tennessee and North Carolina, the 3 U.S. Representatives whose districts include the park, the governors of both states, and Secretary of the Interior Ken Salazar. Dolly Parton, Tennessee native, singer, and actress also attended and performed. In late November and early December 2016, a series of wildfires engulfed a total of 17,900 acres, 72 square kilometers, in the park and surrounding areas. The wildfires killed at least 14, injured 190, and forced the evacuation of more than 14,000 people. The fires also damaged or destroyed at least 2,000 structures. The fires, which were initially suspected to have been caused by arson, occurred during a period of unusual drought, which accelerated the fires. The wildfires were the deadliest in the eastern United States since the Great Fires of 1947, and comprised one of the worst natural disasters in the history of Tennessee. In 2015, Cassius Cash was appointed as the first African-American superintendent of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. He is the 16th superintendent of the park. In 2023, the national park will be featured on a USPS Priority Mail Express stamp depicting a scene near the Newfound Gap. The stamp was designed by USPS art director Greg Breeding, with art from Dan Cosgrove. The park is almost 95% forested, and almost 36% of it, 187,000 acres, 76,000 ha, is estimated by the Park Service to be old-growth forest with many trees that predate European settlement of the area. It is one of the largest blocks of deciduous, temperate, old-growth forest in North America. The variety of elevations, the abundant rainfall, and the presence of old-growth forests give the park an unusual richness of biota. About 19,000 species of organisms are known to live in the park, and estimates as high as an additional 100,000 undocumented species may also be present. Park officials count more than 200 species of birds, 50 species of fish, 39 species of reptiles, and 43 species of amphibians, including many lungless salamanders. The park is an important site for salamanders. The park has a noteworthy black bear population, numbering about 1,500. An attempt to reintroduce red wolves into the park in 1991 failed drastically, forcing the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to remove the wolves from the area in 1998. Elk, wapiti, were reintroduced to the park in 2001, 3 years after the FWS removed the red wolves from the area. Elk are most abundant in the Catalookie area in the southeastern section of the park. It is also home to species of mammals such as the raccoon, bobcat, 2 species of fox, river otter, woodchuck, beaver, 2 species of squirrel, opossum, coyote, white-tailed deer, chipmunk, 2 species of skunk, and various species of bats. Over 100 species of trees grow in the park. The lower region forests are dominated by deciduous leafy trees. At higher altitudes, deciduous forests give way to coniferous trees like Fraser fir. In addition, the park has over 1,400 flowering plant species and over 4,000 species of non-flowering plants. The park has a number of historical attractions. The most well-preserved of these, and most popular, is Cades Cove, a valley with a number of preserved historic buildings including log cabins, barns, and churches. Cades Cove is the single most frequented destination in the national park. Self-guided automobile and bicycle tours offer the many sightseers a glimpse into the way of life of old-time southern Appalachia. Other historical areas within the park include Roaring Fork, Catalookie, Elkmont, and the Mountain Farm Museum and Mingus Mill on the Oconaluftee River. There are 850 miles, 1,370 kilometers, of trails and unpaved roads in the park for hiking, including 70 miles, 110 kilometers, of the Appalachian Trail. Mount Le Conte is one of the most frequented destinations in the park. Its elevation is 6,593 feet, 2,010 m, the third highest summit in the park and, measured from its base to its highest peak, the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi River. Alum Cave Trail is the most heavily used of the 5 paths en route to the summit. It provides many scenic overlooks and unique natural attractions such as Alum Cave Bluffs and Arch Rock. Hikers may spend a night at the LeConte Lodge, located near the summit, which provides cabins and rooms for rent, except during the winter season. Accessible solely by trail, it is the only private lodging available inside the park. The Chimney Tops was a popular destination for hikers until access was closed due to damage from the 2016 Great Smoky Mountains wildfires. Another popular hiking trail led to the pinnacle of the Chimney Tops, so named because of its unique dual-hump peak tops. This short but strenuous trek rewarded nature enthusiasts with a spectacular panorama of the surrounding mountain peaks. It was the flashpoint for the 2016 Great Smoky Mountains wildfires, and therefore sustained extensive damage, evident still today in clearly visible burn scars. The peak has been closed to tourists ever since. Both the Laurel Falls and Clingman's Dome trails offer relatively easy, short, paved paths to their respective destinations. The Laurel Falls Trail leads to a powerful 80-foot, 24 m, waterfall, and the Clingman's Dome Trail takes visitors on an uphill climb to a 50 feet, 15 m, tall observation deck, which on a clear day offers views for many miles over the Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia mountains. In addition to day hiking, the national park offers opportunities for backpacking and camping. Camping is allowed only in designated camping areas and shelters. Most of the park's trail shelters are located along the Appalachian Trail or a short distance away on side trails. In addition to the Appalachian Trail shelters used mostly for extended backpacking trips, there are 3 shelters in the park that are not located on the Appalachian Trail. The Mt. LeConte shelter is located a short distance east of LeConte Lodge on the Boulevard Trail. It can accommodate 12 people per night, and is the only backcountry site in the entire park that has a permanent ban on campfires. The Kephart shelter is located at the terminus of the Kephart Prong Trail, which begins upstream of the Collins Creek picnic area. The shelter, situated along a tributary of the Oconaluftee River, can accommodate 14 people. Laurel Gap Shelter is one of the more remote shelters in the park, situated in a beech forest swag between Balsam High Top and Big Catalookie Mountain. The Laurel Gap Shelter can accommodate up to 14 people per night. This shelter is a popular base camp for peak baggers exploring the heart of the Smokies wilderness. Designated backcountry campsites are scattered throughout the park. A permit, available at ranger stations and via the park website, is required for all backcountry camping. Additionally, reservations are required for all of the shelters and backcountry campsites. A maximum stay of 1 night, in the case of shelters, or 3 nights, in the case of campsites, may limit the traveler's itinerary. After hiking and simple sightseeing, fishing, especially fly fishing, is the most popular activity in the national park. The park's waters have long had a reputation for healthy trout activity as well as challenging fishing terrain. Brook trout are native to the waters, while both brown and rainbow were introduced to the area. Partially due to the fact of recent droughts killing off the native fish, there are strict regulations regarding how fishing may be conducted. Horseback riding, offered by the national park, and unlimited trails, bicycling, available for rent in Cades Cove, and water tubing are all also practiced within the park. From late May to early June, the Elkmont area of the park hosts the peak display period for synchronous fireflies, Photinus carolinus, one of at least 19 species of fireflies that live in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They are the only species in America whose individuals can synchronize their flashing light patterns.